Hello, it is time for Art in the AM every Monday morning at 10:30 a.m. And I am working in this watercolor journal during the whole year of 2026. And I'm doing a series that I am calling the ABCs of Art. So we are on the letter P today. And if you saw last week, we did this little optical illusion, which was kind of fun and shaded in. And all that you needed last week was a pencil. All that you need today is a pencil and a ruler. I like this metal ruler because it stays straight. It's heavier. It stays in place. I don't know. I don't even know exactly where I got these. If I got them at the Dollar Tree, that was probably a great deal. But I like using the metal ruler. If this is your first time showing up here on Art in the AM, here on my Facebook page, or watching it on the replay, which I always put on YouTube in the playlist for the ABCs of Art, my name is Jamie. And I started Creations of Studio 39, which is my business name, in 2020. 6 years ago, over 6 years ago. I had a celebration a couple of weeks ago, or a month or so ago. And I like to come on here, and the whole reason why I started doing live videos, which that's what I celebrated a couple of weeks ago, was because, yes, I can show you how to do things. And I'm going to show you, for the letter P today, perspective. So tell me anything that you know about perspective, like to do with art, like anything that you know about that. I'm going to show you some things of how to do them. But what I was thinking about today is sometimes that's doing a disservice to you if all I show you is the how. And I don't explain why. Why do we need to learn about perspective? Why is that important? Why do artists use it? Why is it part of what I wanted to teach you about with the letter P? And that is really what I want to show to you today. So if you want to kind of go along with what it is that I'm doing, all you need is a pencil and a ruler. And I'm going to teach you a couple of things about perspective maybe that you don't know. But what I'm also going to do is to explain to you why artists use it, and even maybe why they don't. And that was something that came up, I think, on a something that I shared here on my business page. About breaking the rules, right? You have to know the foundational rules, which perspective, probably out of all of the art forms, types of art, has like the most rules. Actually, I will tell you, if you are kind of more left-brained, like you like right and wrong, you like there being a definite way to do things, your left brain loves perspective. It will love perspective. When I was teaching high school, my students who liked science and math and those more left-brained, subject, they loved perspective. Because they got it, like there was a right and a wrong, like there was a way to do it. But I will say that in order to break those rules and you still need to have the foundation. So that is one reason why we have perspective and why, so that you have that foundation and you know with wisdom how to break out of that. Like you use that, but you do something creative with it that might not follow the rules. Something unexpected. So anyway, we're going to talk about perspective today, and I'm going to turn my paper horizontally. I like to do perspective drawings horizontally. You can definitely turn your paper going vertically too. It just gives me like a little bit more room to be able to turn it this way. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the right page here. And I'm going to turn this down. Hi, Sue. Hi, Kathy. I see you guys popping on there. Let me know if you know anything about perspective. I am going to go ahead and do what is called in perspective the horizon line. And the horizon line is pretty much how it sounds. It's a line on the horizon, so it's going horizontal. That's how I kind of remember the horizon line. It goes horizontal. So I'm going to use my ruler. You can put this line wherever you want. It does not have to be in the middle. You can put it down lower, you can put it up above. So the horizon line, I am going to put it just, I don't know, maybe a little bit lower than. The horizon line is, and I didn't measure it. If you want to measure it, I kind of eyeballed it. I think I'm actually pretty close. It's pretty even. Like if you want to measure it so it's, you know, or just line up the lines on your ruler so that it's, because you want it perpendicular to the sides and you want it parallel to the top and the bottom. So you can measure it if you want. The horizon line is one of the definitions in perspective art and using perspective. Another definition is the vanishing point. And whenever I've done things that have perspective, and as I kind of explain it a little bit more, maybe you can give me other examples of things you think of that are in perspective. I probably don't put an actual point for the vanishing point. The vanishing point is where everything leads to, where everything goes to. I eyeball it, but I'm going to show you today. I'm going to put a vanishing point up here at the top. I'm going to put it probably, I am doing this upside down. So I'm going to put it up at the top here, and everything that I draw is going to go to that line. That is the vanishing point. That's where the lines vanish to, right? It's, you know, pretty easy way to kind of think about that. And then what I like to do is to also put 2 dots on the horizon line, just as a reference, and you'll see why. So when I think of perspective, here's why I use perspective. Here is what I think about. And perspective can mean like a lot of different things. I can't see all of your comments because I moved them so I can kind of like see what I'm doing here. But there are different kinds of perspective. But to me, what I'm trying to do and the reason why I would use a vanishing point and think about the horizon line and all of these things is because I want to create depth. I want to create depth in my drawing, my painting, my anything that I'm doing. And that to me was a goal that I had. Sorry, I got sidetracked because I just had a notification coming in. I might have to go look up what that was about. I definitely got sidetracked there. The reason that I'm going to get back to it, the reason that an artist uses perspective is to get depth, because to me it creates a lot more interest. It creates a lot more interest when there's depth, and when I can apply the rules of perspective, my depth looks correct. So very simply, usually I think about I am so sidetracked this morning. Usually when I think about perspective, I think of buildings. So I think of buildings that oh my goodness, gotta focus. I haven't finished all of my coffee this morning. I think of buildings. So buildings kind of going back and they're vanishing. Like if you're walking down a street and you're seeing all of the buildings, then this is why I'm thinking about this. I think this vanishing point needs to be someplace different, but I'm gonna go with this here for a second as I'm sitting here thinking about this. So I take and I line up the vanishing point, which my horizon line should be up here. That's what I'm thinking, but I'm gonna go with this for a second. my vanishing point and then my little dot that I put on the line here. And then I'll go and do this one here too. I'm sorry, I was so sidetracked because that text that I got, it looked like it was a friend telling me that she was possibly taking my friend to the emergency room. So I'm like so sidetracked. Kathy says, can you have both vertical and horizontal perspective? So I will talk to you a little bit about that. There are different types of perspective, and that's why I wanted to say I can teach you about 1-point perspective and 2-point perspective and 5-point perspective and like all these, and you can have all of these different ways, and there's like a right and a wrong way to do that, and you can have a bird's eye view, and you can have a worm's eye view, they call it, you know, like all of these different terms and definitions, but that's why I want you to know why you would use it, because that matters more than if you get everything correct or not. And if you start thinking like that, you're thinking more like an artist thinks than your left brain that wants to know the right or wrong way. And that is really what I want to get across to you today, because I see so many people that get so hung up on, am I doing this the right way? And there are things to follow with perspective, but I just want you to think about the reason why you want to have perspective is to create depth. So if you're learning how to create depth, even if it's not following all of the ways that you do perspective, a lot of times that's when you're going to find the creative ways to do something. So here's my vanishing point, and here are my 2 lines. And what I like to do is, this is really throwing me off doing this upside down too, because my horizon line, it's off. Let me think about, I might have to do this like the other side, because I'm really not thinking about perspective upside down. I think that I'm still doing it as if I'm, I should have had all of my coffee before I came on my video today. So here are some of the things that I think about when I think about perspective. I think about a road, right? Like it goes back to, really, my horizon line should be this on the vanishing point here. So it goes back to this vanishing point, and everything kind of leads to that vanishing point. So if I wanted to have, let's say, a row of trees, and I'm not measuring these things here. Most of the time, I think this paper is just not big enough. I think that's kind of throwing me off too. Most of the time, I think of buildings, and you could use your ruler for this, but I just want to show you. I was painting this morning, so I'm like so in right brain mode. I cannot even flip my brain over to talking and trying to do this with you. I might just start over. I think that I should have started this a different way. Okay. Let's just say that this is my building. I have a building here. And what I did is I went back to the vanishing point from this corner, this corner, this corner, all the way to here. And now what I can do is to draw these vertical lines so that I have this building. So this horizontal line and this vertical line are parallel and they're perpendicular to the lines that I already have in there. So now this building, all of these points go back to the vanishing point. And I could do another building in here, and maybe, I don't know, maybe I would want this building to, you know, come down a little bit here, and so they're still like going back to the point there, but this one now looks like it's in front. That's really what you're trying to do when you are using the vanishing point like this to have everything go back to it. You're creating depth. You're creating the illusion that there's space in there. And so that's what I see a lot of times people not getting right in their paintings, not because they're not using perspective and the vanishing point, is they're not thinking about, I want to create depth, so the rules that I need to follow are that things need to get smaller and smaller and smaller as they go back in space. That's perspective. Whether you have a vanishing point and all your lines go back there, you can have trees, right? You could have, I'll do it on this side. You could have a tree, right? And I'll just do like the little lollipop trees, right? And do you see how those trees get smaller and smaller as they go back to this point? That is, thank you, Sue, because I was not explaining it very well. Sue says that now she understands. So there, you have a vanishing point and lines and all of that, but this is what I want you to understand about the what you're doing. Is everything is getting smaller as you're going back to this point. And you can see these trees, they have this imaginary line that's going back, and that's how you can have that be correct. If you want to draw a road with a line of trees, with a line of buildings, with palm trees, with railroad tracks, you know, going back, you're using perspective. And if you have a really tall tree back here and then a small tree here, that throws off the perspective. So that's really what I want you to keep in mind and to learn about perspective, is that as you go back into space, as you go back along the vanishing line, the vanishing point, back to the horizon line, things are getting smaller. And there are a lot of other ways to create perspective, to create depth, but I'm just going to do that one today. Going back into space, getting smaller. So if you're wanting to create something that has a lot of depth, you're wanting to create this landscape that looks like there are mountains, you know, far away, they have to get smaller as they go back. You want to create this forest of trees with this path going in there. The path has to get smaller as it goes back. The trees get smaller as they go back, right? That's what I want you to learn about perspective. Not necessarily the vanishing point, to have all your lines all straight and everything like that. It's the creating the perspective as you go back to have depth. Because depth creates interest. It creates interest for the person who is viewing the artwork. And when you're making artwork, yes, you're making it for yourself and you're being creative, but you're also thinking about, if someone looks at it, what makes it interesting to look at? What makes it look more realistic? That's probably one of the things that people ask me the most about, is how do I make this tree, this face, this, you know, whatever it is, look more realistic. I'm probably always going to say add more depth. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. but the depth is what creates the interest in your artwork. So anytime that you have flat colors, that you have just, do you know what I mean by flat? There's no mixture of any colors. There's no darks. There's no lights. And now I'm getting into color a little bit. You don't have enough depth for something to look realistic. And that is what I want you to take away from today. If you want your artwork to be more interesting, to create interest for someone looking at it, create more depth. And all the different ways that you can do that. And I've talked about a lot of different ones, but that is what I will leave you with today, is the vanishing point, creating perspective, creating things going back into space and getting smaller. The last thing that I want to leave you with today, I'm going to go finish my coffee, get some more water, and I'll finish this perspective drawing and post a picture of this. I did send out an email last Wednesday? I don't even remember what day it was. It was last week. And it was about something that I wanted to give to you to be able to use that may create more depth in your artwork. And it is this Mixed Media 101 Beginner's Resource Guide. It is 23 pages, and it has all of these 16 pages that you can download that you can be able to use in your artwork. And I have started using them, actually. I printed off my own copy of those 16 pages, and in my book that I'm keeping for my Art Journaling 101 and doing all the prompts for the month of April, I used the background, and I just cut it and I put it in the background for this peony. I think this was the peony. So you can use them however you want. You can add to them. You can create more depth by starting with those and then adding more to them. And that was just the front cover of the resource guide. Let me know if you already downloaded yours. If you got my email, if you are in my Start Creating membership, I have it in there. And I believe that I made a post about it. I think that I made a post about it here on my business page. So there is a way to get the link, and if you need it, you can put that in the comments here that you want the resource guide. But the pages, I would suggest to print them single-sided. Don't print on the back. I printed these on the back, which could be fun if you wanted to create like a junk journal kind of, with them or something like that. But you could print them single-sided or double-sided, I guess. I printed this one double-sided. But you can use them, print them over and over again. I actually wanted to show you the portrait that I did yesterday in my portrait book. I want to show you how thick this is getting. Look at this. It's so thick. It doesn't even sit like flat anymore. Kathy's still waiting on her printer parts. Oh my goodness. Oh good Sue, she's printed it out. I like these kinds of collage papers. Sometimes I have my own. Sometimes I have ones like from that resource guide, things like that. But recently I printed out a pack from Pinterest, maybe? I really don't remember where I got it. But the reason that I printed it out, it had two papers that already had portraits on them. They had faces on them. So what I did yesterday in my portrait book was took a collage sheet, just like I provided in that resource guide, and I took that as the starting point, and then I created the page that you may have seen that I posted this portrait. So this image here and some of the background was an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that I printed out that already had something on it. And I used that as the starting point. I used that as the inspiration. And I was able to add color. So I added the color onto the face, added more designs, added the paint in there, and use that as a starting point. And I will just tell you that this page probably has felt to be one of the most creative ones that I've made. Like, I really felt like I was in the flow of creating, right? Have you ever heard of like being in the flow? Like, you lose track of time and you're just caught up in the process. That's what happened when I started with a collage sheet and I just like made it my own. I will show you the one that I'm probably going to do today is this sheet. So this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet. I do have a laser printer. I don't think that makes that much of a difference, but it does give me nice, copies. And this is the image that I'm going to start with. So I'll take a photo of it beforehand so you can kind of compare, but I'm going to add color to the face, more designs, and that will be my starting point. Just like with the collage sheets that I am offering to you in this guide. So if you don't have the guide, just let me know in the comments there. I will make sure and get you the link. It will be posted again here on my page. You can look back in your email if you're on my email list. And there are more things than the 16 pages in there that you can print out with tips and resources and materials that I use and my 3-step process that I use in there. So you can print that out and have all of that really beginning information that I wish that I had when I started just using mixed media. So I hope that you have a good Monday. It's still April next week, so I will be doing the letter, what would that, M, right? No, Q, right? Yeah. I don't even know what I'm doing for the letter Q. I have my list that I'm following. Is that right? Q. Yes, Q. I'll be doing Q next week, and I will show a picture of the perspective, and go ahead and make sure that you download your resource guide. I think you'll have a lot of fun with those, and I'm going to continue to use some of those in my portrait book and maybe even in my art journal prompts today, which today's prompt, I already did Magnolia today. Not Magnolia, Hydrangea today. This is the one that I just did today. That's why I was like so in my right brain this morning, because I had already done that. So I did Hydrangea. So periwinkle. Maybe I'll use one of those collage sheets for my next page in here, which is periwinkle. I don't even know what a periwinkle flower looks like. I'll have to go look it up. So, oh, Sue, I can't wait to have fun with it. I'm looking forward to, but I will take a before and after of like what I started with as inspiration and like, where that took me when I get it finished. But that's what I did with the one yesterday. So anyway, thanks for showing up here for Art in the AM, and thanks for like giving me grace when it took a second for my brain to start working and to start talking a little bit about perspective because I was doing it upside down. I think that really like threw me off today. So I appreciate you being here, and I will see you next Monday for the next letter, for letter Q. So I'll see you then.